comes Rick Nielsen. Is it? What did you, Rob? I wanted to get. What did you think, Rob? So yeah, they're 74 years old. I'm a little disappointed that you didn't stay because I am a big.
Call the meeting in order and let's get going.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to say welcome to our board review session. It will be a very brief evening, and I will be the one that makes it that way because I know I'm the one that can be long-winded. I think our board members know we do have some board members who are traveling, and I want to wish them safe travels, and I also want to send out our thoughts to Mr. Pareto, who's not is a little bit under the weather. So get well, Tony. We miss you, especially when we're going to talk about capital projects, your favorite topic. We have the team with us on capital projects. We haven't been to you in a while. We are over 80% complete on this $30 million capital project. It is going exceedingly well. We wanted to speak today about, show you some progress photos. And the reason why I think this is important to show you this week is because next week we're going to ask you to vote on $412,000 worth of payments and one change order. And we'll talk about that change order in a moment. But I wanted to make sure that 6 of our agenda items next week deal with capital projects, and the board has very willingly, with the support of Earl and the team, our contractors have been outstanding. So I wanted to thank Fry Danforth, Scafari, Stark, and MKS. Am I missing anyone else? And Johnson Controls. They've been outstanding partners. But let's I think we're going to ask Stu and Earl to come forward. And before we do that, let me just introduce everyone that's here. Brian Trott is our chief architect. Bill Zagrafis, an architect. Chris Dowling, he's moved on from drinking fountains to electricity. He was our drinking fountain expert. The gentleman next to him is our new project executive, Joe Armini. Joe Manarino Jr., a young star in the making for those of you who are watching at home. Joe specializes in public address systems. And I wanted to just introduce Tony Maselli, but I'm going to say something about him at the end of this presentation. This is Tony's last meeting, and tomorrow's Tony's last day. And we have worked with Tony Maselli on $150 million worth of capital projects. I've worked 12 years with Tony as my time as deputy and superintendent, and hopefully I'll be able to conclude with some remarks about him. I will conclude. But Tony, it's his last meeting, so we gave him the last supper in the room, and now we're here to go through the capital projects. So Stu, why don't you take it away?
All right, thanks for allowing me to take the time to brag about the work we're doing. So, a Beaufort project, like Mark said, is going very well. It's on time, well within budget. So the secured vestibules portion of the project here is going well. Here's some pictures. We have 2 of the new cataract vestibule. We have Leneva Bond up in the upper left and Gaskill in the lower right. These are progressing well. We have several that are complete. We have some that are going to be continuing on through the summer for completion.
Just for everyone's edification, especially those who are watching at home, as part of our upgrade to security, we will have by August 31st a double door vestibule or a double vestibule that people would have to come through. Included in there is our Evolve walkthrough artificial intelligence weapons detection system. And if a visitor or guest doesn't need to enter the building, there's a pass-through window to, again, secure vestibules and keep people contained. And that pass-through window allows people to just share something and not enter the building. And it's a way to have their Raptor checked, the way we check our IDs and Raptors. So really pleased, they look really good. Bill and Brian, congratulations to CPL on the design. I really like them. And to the construction team, they've done a good job. Thank you.
There's going to be some work done at GJ Mann over the holiday, the spring break, and some of the other schools, some minor work being done, but we're moving along pretty well on the vestibules. Fire doors branding. So we had new fire doors put in at Niagara Falls High School on the 1st and 2nd floor. After they were put in, they seemed a little bit sterile, right? Up in the upper right-hand corner of the screen is before the branding was put on. So I think, I don't know who it was that had the idea. Was it you or Mark? It was Mark. It was Mark, definitely Mark, yeah.
Thanks, Earl.
So we got the logos on the doors, and whether they're open or they're closed, you'll be able to see the NF on the doors. So came out pretty well. That was just done last week on the 27th on the superintendent's conference day. So it came out very well.
If you remember, those doors used to, when the school was built, they dropped from the ceiling and became, remember? Yeah. And I remember one weekend when Earl and a number of his maintenance staff had to physically lift all of them or hold them up. He didn't call me, but he and about 5 guys had to hold one of them up. So those are all approved, fire code approved. And to doctor it up a little bit, we went with some branding. I did want to mention in this photo that not only are we teaching students, but we've also added a few mannequins to our role. And this young lady is doing very, very well. We'll see her at graduation with many cords and awards. So we got her from Jen's, and I wanted to just congratulate her on her graduation. Okay, go ahead. Go back.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Now, question. On the top left, the door on the left, are those both double doors?
Yes.
So what is the center, they're folded on top of one another?
Yeah, so the ones on the right open the other way, the ones on this open this way for flow of traffic. One set opens one way, one set opens the other way for flow of traffic.
Oh, so the other door, I got it.
And egress,
The door is on the
yeah.
backside.
Yeah.
Right, right.
The egress had to be both ways for the fire code to be
So
satisfied.
if in an emergency, one side will open one way, regardless of which way you're coming.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
Makes sense.
By the way, the mannequin is going to get an advanced Regents diploma. Next slide.
All right, Leneva Bond Greenhouse. As you can see, if you've been over there, work is progressing very well on the greenhouse. Working on the finished work inside. the doors, the hardware, the lighting is all in. So it's just pretty much the finished work inside that's got to be done. And we're ready on schedule for an opening.
We also want to add here that we are film coating the windows for safety, that our high school construction team have built the grow tables inside, and this is going to be a real nice addition to the district. One of the only greenhouses attached to a school in New York State. And just for those that are listening, I just wanted to say this. While the greenhouse is located at Bond, the team over at Bond has created a schedule where all students in the district will be able to access it and be part of it. So it is right now going to be a district greenhouse.
All right.
Thanks. Here comes some real excitement for you.
The Gaskill HVAC upgrades. Startups and commissioning have begun on the ground level units for the VRFs. Remaining are waiting until the power upgrades are complete. The chillers, as you see in the lower right-hand corner, are in place and piped, working on installation and the controls. Extraordinary amount of piping for both the chilled water system and the refrigeration system for the VRF have been done in the buildings, as you can see from the pictures. Danforth is the contractor on this portion of the work, and they're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things about Danforth's work, their cleanliness. They are putting back, just to the parents that are listening and to the students, thank you for pardon us for not having ceiling tiles in the hallways for a long time. It allowed us to get our work expedited. The grid in both schools is going back in, and those ceiling tiles will be replaced, so your school will be complete. But Danforth, Craig, and I call him Starsky and Hutch. Who's the other guy?
Brian Polian,
Yeah, and Craig, what's his name?
Craig Reagan.
These are two top-notch foremen, and they were on this stuff, and I'd take them at any job. I just knew they were Starsky and Hutch. That's what I called them. Okay, go ahead.
All right. LaSalle, pretty much the same thing as Gaskill going on. Mirror image, a lot of the same equipment, the chillers, the VRF systems, and the hallway units you can see on the left, where they're starting to put ceilings in at LaSalle.
Right.
There, so as we complete the systems and they're started. The chillers are a little different configuration at LaSalle, sitting side by side rather than stepped as they are at Gaskill, but operationally they're the same.
Pleased to tell those listening that Niagara Falls will be one of the few districts in the state that all buildings will have air conditioning, all buildings. So kudos to everybody involved to air condition all buildings. Our kids and staff deserve it. It allows us much more flexibility. Before we leave this, it's our understanding that next week, I'm looking at you, Chris, and I've learned this because I really planned to go out there because I wanted to see a National Grid truck, but Mr. Electrician, Chris Dowling, tells me there's a lot of downstream work, to use his words, meaning down the street. So we're expecting National Grid to be doing downstream preparation as they get ready to electrify LaSalle first, and then we'll move to Gaskill.
Awesome.
Go ahead, Russ.
Piping to the chillers, is water in there, glycol?
Glycol.
Okay,
Yeah, that's for the chilled water. That goes for the DOAS units.
so it goes through the whole system.
Goes through, yeah, the DOAS, the air handlers, yeah.
How often does it have to be changed?
Glycol should be checked every few years to make sure its inhibitors and it's the percentages are good. But I mean, we changed cataracts when we did the boiler, and that was the original stuff. It was a little muddy, but we changed that. It's going to increase the performance in the building too.
Just a question. Any idea how many gallons?
I haven't done the calc on that yet. It's probably in the plans. So I don't.
Just speaking of cataract, the vats are 500-gallon vats, and the big
The
metal
totes,
racks,
yeah.
The totes, and
Yeah.
there's three of those.
Three of those
There's
for
1,500
cataract.
gallons in cataracts, chilled water system, glycol system across the street.
Just curious.
And this is
Much bigger.
considerably more expensive than that, so.
Okay?
Okay. The electrical upgrades at Gaskill and LaSalle, we have the new switch gear, it's in place. Fry is working on that. The pads outside for the new transformers grid is gonna be putting in the new disconnect switch for the transformers out there. We have the variable frequency drives for the air handlers. I'm sorry, these are for the pumps at LaSalle. So all kinds of new electrical services going in, new electrical equipment with all the upgrades that are going in at the school. Another contractor hitting it out of the parks is Fry.
Really, they really are. They really have done a really, first time we've had Fry on any of our jobs, and like Ferguson and CIR, we've had 3 great electrical contractors. Okay.
I think we discussed this a little bit at the last presentations, the Cataract Elementary boiler upgrades. This has been done for a while. We did owner training last week.
Thursday the 27th.
Yeah. Yeah, we did owner training on these where they came out and showed several of Earl's guys how to, what to look for, what to check, how to operate the screens, the pumps, the resets, everything they might have to do if something were to go haywire on these, which we don't anticipate. But this was a good job. Greater Niagara Mechanical did this.
Yeah, I failed to mention, we are really pleased with, they're very local, they're the town of Niagara. Greater Niagara Mechanical has done a bang-up job too. Smaller contract with us, but boy, I want to put in a plug for Greater Niagara Mechanical. They have done a very good job, and we'll talk about them down the line here in a minute, so.
Okay. The Walk of Fame. Everything's in out there, as you can see. The walls are up, waiting for the plaques, waiting for the grass to turn green again. So it's looking good. If you get a chance to walk out there and look at it, it's pretty impressive. It's going to be a nice area for the public to visit.
This is work done by Scafari. They did a nice job. There are 2 or 3 walls out there, and 2, 3-year-old? There's 3 walls out there. One of the walls, I just want the board and the public to know, and Bill Zagrafis from CPL is working on this. I'm not satisfied, well, we're not satisfied with the status of one of the walls. 2 of the walls are holding up beautifully. There's one wall that we're seeing some paint chipping already, that's what I would call it, and we are not willing to accept that. So we have asked our architect to send a letter to the manufacturer to come up with a solution to this and to remediate it. So that is a little bit of the holdup on this, because we purchased beautiful new concrete painted walls, and we see some imperfections, and we're not going to accept it until they make right. Scafari has committed to making right, as has the manufacturer. It's just not done. I don't want to hold that back from anybody. I don't want to perjure anybody's name, but we're only going to accept the best here.
Gaskill boiler upgrade.
This was a change order, correct, Stu?
Correct. This was an owner-directed change. The boiler had to be retubed because of the leak in the boiler where it sat. I believe it was over the summertime, shut down. The water infiltrated the gas train, so that also had to be replaced as part of this change order. The tubes were completed last week, and this was by Scafari subbed this work out. So that it's a specialty process to retube a boiler like this. As you can see, the top picture on the left is the original when they opened the boiler up, and the bottom you can see it's all cleaned up, and the new tubes you can see in the other pictures. So the gas train will be installed this Friday, tomorrow. By Danforth, yeah. The remaining work we have on the project is we still have some vestibules to complete at Hyde Park, Maple Avenue, LaSalle, G.J. Mann, and complete Niagara Falls High School. The electrical services completion at Gaskill and LaSalle. The work has started. A lot of the infrastructure is complete, and it's estimated completion by the end of May 2025. The HVAC startup and commissioning at Gaskill and LaSalle. The equipment startups and commissioning have begun, like I said. The ground level units, most of them have power already on the existing system, but we're waiting for the power upgrade to feed the remaining units and complete the startup on those. All will be functioning well before school next year. So greenhouse at Boniva Bond, like I said, we have finished work, some door hardware that remains, completion expected early to mid-May 2025. Walk of Fame at Niagara Falls High School, waiting on the stainless steel plaque placement and the remediation of the paint and the finish that Mark was talking about a little bit ago. The commissioning of cameras, security, and fire alarm is in process as well. So we're looking at an on-time, under budget completion of this project well before the end of summer.
Right. So just a couple of benchmarks for the capital projects as we wrap this up. First of all, I'm going to have Earl just speak a little bit about the new way we're tracking fire alarms. I want to tell you that Ray and Chief Del Porto are responsible for cameras and setting a pattern. You know, we're putting nuisance alarms. I'll call them nuisance alarms. If any door was ever propped open. So Ray and the chief will be working along with our team out here to set the timing on 30 seconds and the nuisance alarm goes off and the camera pans to it. That all has to be done. We want to put all the schools on at the same time. So that's a process that will happen for the opening of school in September. And Earl, could you take just a moment to talk about where we're going with alarms, fire alarm?
Certainly. District staff has been working with Stark Tech over the last 3-week period now to start installing new fire panel dialers. It would be the easiest way to explain it. We are moving away from hard lines for our fire dialers. That used to be the code. It is no longer the code because as of 2022, the federal government is not insisting that Verizon maintain their hard lines. So actually cell phone and IP is a more reliable way. We were running into problems with buildings dropping their service because of it rained too hard. And the existing hard copper lines that Verizon managed would fail. So we're switching over. I'm anticipating all this work to be complete so that all of our fire alarms will go through this system to a call center, Rapid SOS, which will be the same call center that our security systems go through once the security portion of this project is done, as well as if the district finalizes everything, and I don't want to speak ahead of time, with Zero Eyes.
Right.
Will also be the same call center. So all of our alarming will go through one call center.
Thanks, Earl. We do have one change order on your voting packet. Of course, I won't go through these when we go through the packet because you've seen it. There is one change order. It is an owner requested change order. As Stu mentioned, we do have some money remaining in our budget for this. Earl has identified an issue at Abbott that we would like to remediate. We have a very good price using union labor under Scrufari's contract to do, and I'd like you to describe, Earl, because it's on the board agenda for their vote next week, what this change order is, and it was directed by us.
Yes, it was directed by us. Okay, so you're familiar with how Abbott is orientated on between 11th and Lockport Street, and there's a cut-through, you might call it, that passes the front entrance of the building. That cut-through is badly potholed and has failed terribly. One of the reasons it failed, as you may or may not remember, we had a water main break that affected that area. It was January 3rd of 2023. And what happened is the entire underlayment of what would be the east portion of that drive filled with water from that water main break. Then, of course, froze, thawed, further damaging the drive. The point of it is you have children and staff walking through that area all the time, loading and unloading of cars. We need it to be safe. We're hoping, we don't know for sure, we're hoping that the paving work will get done over spring break. But that is the owner-directed change. It's probably the worst, not probably, it is the worst stretch of asphalt in this district that's district-owned.
If I remember, it's about 17,200 feet about. Does that sound right?
Roughly, yeah, close enough, yes.
Square feet, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about 17,000
Yeah.
square feet.
That includes the line striping
Yes.
and,
It is.
the other stuff that goes with
Yeah,
it.
there's got to be, right.
We're going to upgrade the line striping to help the school deal with traffic management.
Right. So it is a change order for your consideration next Thursday. The cost is $28,051.80. We feel it's a fair cost. We have the money in our contingency. We will send that to State Ed for their approval and come through. But we think that while we have the money and the time and the contractor, Scrafari, who will sub this out to Del Prince, I believe is the sub, again, a union contractor. If we can get this done over spring break, we'll do it. If we can't, it'll wait the summer. But it is in real serious concern. Have you been on it, Mr. Bass? It's really bad, and it's not fair to the Abbott community, to the cars, anyone. We want to make sure that that's taken care of. So that is a change order the only change order for your consideration. I wanted to just give a summary comment and ask any questions. The summary comment is, and this is very important to Becky, Julie, and the district. The team that you see before you has designed and led our contractors to have this done far in advance of our deadline. My goal is that by August 31st, everything will be done, punch list buttoned up, manuals, all of that stuff. August 31st, so we open school and no one sees one speck of dust related to this capital project. Yet what you'll see is all secured vestibules, a greenhouse, air conditioning, more cameras, nuisance alarms, paved drive, everything we talked about, buttoned up and done. That will allow Becky, Richard, and Julie to process the necessary paperwork that is due by November to State Ed, so that what we'll get back is the 98% reimbursement that we've based this whole project on. That's why the timing is important, and that's why the contractors have been so good about everything. I will tell you that we're on time. We will have a few dollars left over. We plan to use that within the budget to lower our debt service. And I also want to say, because you don't get this on a lot of jobs, we've lost fewer than 1 day's time of accident or injury, which is also important. Fewer than 1 day on a $30 million job. I'm real pleased. That's the result of the safety precautions BCC puts into place. I'd conclude, and certainly would entertain any questions from the board. I just wanted to say on behalf of the school district, and personally myself and the team, Tony, we have appreciated everything that you've done for us. $150 million worth of construction he has led. And I'll never forget the day when he came, when Steve Decker came to us and said, "We got a new guy, we want to try him out." And I said, do you gotta give me the new guy? Why do I have to do? And he said, I think you'll like this guy, Tony Maselli. I said, well, bring him in. If we don't like him, I'll call you. We have had not one regret. Tony is a professional. Tony is highly competent. Tony has a relationship with the contractors, the men and the women in the field. He knows owners of companies. He gets things done, and he does it with a class demeanor. And I am happy that you're leaving the area for your family, to be closer to your family, but very sad that we're losing you as a partner. You did a wonderful job, and I'm glad you were able to be here to get those due flowers that you deserve, and I wish you and your family and your baby the best of luck down in North or South Carolina. Please don't give out your address to Earl. He likes to go down places and stay for free. So, don't do that. Don't do that. I say that to you with all sincerity on behalf of everyone here. You're a top-notch gentleman. Thank you very much. Yeah. Having said that, Joe Armini, don't screw up. Right? Just don't screw up, because we're used to the top. And we got the top. So don't screw up, Joe. We'll let you know, too. Any questions for our team? Again, our change order rate is about, and I factor this out, if you take out the owner-directed change orders, like that paving item, we're at 1% or a little bit under 1%, which I think is a reasonable amount of change orders. You've heard, we've had one here and there. You saw the two. That's a reasonable amount. So I challenge Bill and Brian to continue to produce those kind of results going forward, and we'll see where that goes. So, thank you all. Any questions for them?
Just a quick comment. Tony, it was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I worked you over many a time.
It's been a pleasure working in this district over the last 12 years, and it's Niagara Falls will always have a special place in my heart. Since I got here in the beginning, I just knew it was a special place, and Mark's leadership is impeccable, and the whole construction team, Becky, and Earl, and Rich, and Ray. It's been an absolute pleasure working with you guys. And you guys made my job easy because you guys have the leadership and the decision making and everything that goes with it. Not every district's like that, so you guys are lucky as a board to have these people here leading the way. And it's been my pleasure. The athletic fields and those projects will be my favorite projects that I've done in my career. So thank you for everything.
Yeah. We also had fun too, Tony.
We had a lot of fun.
We had a few laughs
But
along the way.
you guys will be in good hands with Joe Armini. He runs all of BCC's K through 12. I couldn't let go of Niagara Falls. That's why he doesn't run that until now. But you guys are in good hands. So thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Good
Wait
luck.
till I get a hold of him. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah. Joe, there's this office on Main Street. It's the dry cleaners. Very clean, pristine office. You'll go in there if you got to bring it. It is weird. It is weird. He'll never experience what Tony did. Actually, that's where, tying the story into the beginning of the meeting, that's where that mannequin was all the time. It was there, and we took the mannequin out and put it at the high school. So you'll find a lot of things in that Capitol Cleaner. So, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Becky and Julie, we're going to go to the budget. We, members of the board, members of the public, thanks, Tone. Yeah, stay in touch, okay? Good luck to you. Members of the public and board members, we're kind of at the final hour here. This is our 6th budget meeting. We are just about ready to give you the final voting number. Tonight, there is a resolution that will be added to your packet for next week. Well, there are 2 resolutions, and I'm going to ask Julie and Becky to speak to, but let me just give you a sense. On the state aid adjustment side, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. The only number that, thanks, Jill, the only number that possibly could change, Ray, yep, Ray's got the cursor over it, is the foundation aid number. We are not going to assume any additional dollars in the foundation aid line. We're not going to assume it. If we do receive it, first of all, just so everybody knows, the state budget is not done. Even though I hear that the issues holding up the state budget don't happen to be financial, they happen to be policy, which is a little weird if we're talking about the budget. But we're going to assume, not hope, not want, that this is the baseline foundation aid number. Many years, this number goes up. Without knowing what the budget is, we're going to leave it at the baseline number. If we, and I hope we will, and I think we will, if we get more money in that line, A, we'll tell you, and B, we won't use as much reserve money. But to assume we're going to get another $250,000, I just don't think it's responsible. So that side of the budget, except for that line, is as accurate as we could be. When you go to the adjustment side, there's only one number that we changed from last week to this week. And Julie has indicated that in blue. These are expiring grants. We talked about the fact that the STOP grant was ending, and McKinney-Vento, that is our homeless grant, they have not put an RFP out for that yet. So we're not going to assume we're going to get it. But we have homeless students and homeless services that we need to provide. We're going to assume we're not going to get that. And finally, we've included a small reduction to the Head Start budget. We know that we're going to have Head Start, but we know the full allocation is somewhat, well, is in danger because of the number of students we have. So we did include a reduction in the Head Start budget. If you scroll, you will see now the most important number, and that's what will go on the resolution next week. And that's what the number the voters will go to the polls on May 20th to vote on. 202, 840, 136. We think that's the number that it'll take to run the district next year with all of the considerations we've been through. Before we used any reserves, we had a $4.8 million gap. Scroll up. We have now taken the blue, applied those that Ray just highlighted, and used that to eliminate the gap. Now we've done this, we did this last year and it worked out quite well. We'll use that money now, and at the time of October or November, when Drescher and Malecki are here, we're often able to replenish those reserve numbers because we have money left over from this year. So those are just the numbers that we pulled from in the reserve account. Julie, I let Julie and Becky make the decision on how to pull what from where. Can you talk about that, Jewel?
I'm sorry, that's okay. So we decided to use these reserves based on two things, based on the amount of our budgeted expense next year, and then also the overall balance in that reserve account.
Right.
So we did it kind of proportionally. The only reserve that we have that has a limit or a restriction is our TRS reserve. That reserve, you can only contribute each year 2% of the prior year eligible salaries, and overall it can only be 10% of salaries. So that reserve we're $850,000, so that's the largest one we're projecting to use, but it's also because it's the most restrictive. So
if you scroll up just a little bit, Ray, now what you'll see is the remaining balances in the reserve. That's what we'll have still left if we have to use those reserves. It's a responsible amount. Year after year, you can't do that, but it's just not, in my opinion, the year to raise the tax levy. It's not the year to cut programs or people. It's not a tsunami, or it's not raining hard, but it's sprinkling, it's raining, and in order to maintain the efficacy of the programs and the work we have to do for students and still keep a very responsible amount of reserves, we are applying those in the numbers above to bring that budget gap to zero. And again, you'll see that the tax, we could raise taxes 5.5% without overriding the cap. We choose not to do that, and we'll stay away from that line as long as we can. I guess I want to emphasize that the reserves are still healthy, and that on November 1st or 15th of October, when Drescher and Malecki comes, we hope we're telling you that we're putting money back into those accounts. But for right now, and not having a state budget and not knowing what it's going to look like, we think this is the most responsible thing to do for our community. Now, first of all, for our kids, for our staff, and for our community, to maintain where we're going. And I'm just pleased we're able to do this and keep our district whole. Obviously, we've taken care of all of the budget considerations we need to. We talked about salt trucks last week. We're going to talk about something else we're going to do in this year's budget. Judgment and claims, again, we can't get too much into that discussion because these are highly sensitive cases, but kudos to our in-house attorneys and to our insurance attorneys. We've been able to be very responsible with our judgment and claims, but you never know. You never know. Cell phone pouches, I left that on there. That's not in the budget. We're waiting for that policy decision to come forward. If the governor proposes a bell-to-bell ban, I think what I would like to tell you is that at certain grade levels, I think one of the best ways to do that will be with cell phone pouches. I want to get some community feedback. I spoke to Ray, Ed Maynard, and Dave St. Ange today about doing a couple of things to get community feedback. One would be to have a virtual town hall so that we can get a lot of information out to a lot of people. And two would be to use a thought exchange. Another district is using a thought exchange to get feedback from parents. Not to say don't do it, we'll have to do what the governor tells us to do, but to get thoughts back on how we can ease some of the concerns. I was online this morning and read, the superintendent sent it to me. I read the North Tonawanda Thought Exchange. They did a thought exchange and they had over 1,000 responses. So I have a little baseline on some of the questions, and they had 1,000 people respond, which I think is something we'll have to do. We'll talk about that once we know what the governor says about cell phone bans. We're going to follow the rules. We're going to articulate things to the public. We're going to get feedback where it's acceptable. But we know sometimes people can't get out. So I'm thinking about a thought exchange. I'm thinking about a town hall meeting. Cell phone pouches will cost some money. The governor had proposed $13 million to pay for those. We'll have to see where that ends up on the docket, if it's passed, not passed, what have you. So that's just, I just want you to know what's not in this budget. That is not in there. So if it is, Julie, Becky, and I have a plan to identify some money where we think we could get money. One of the ways, so it's not something that's not transparent. Something that we've been able to do is move staff into grants. Use that grant carryover line. If you scroll up a little bit, Ray, you can a little bit more. No, the other way. Scroll down. I said up. My bad, Ray. See the grant carryover line? There's still $100,000 there that we could apply to put people in to free up money in the budget. So without getting into too much detail, that's what's in the back of my mind on how to get money that might not be in the budget for pouches. I don't want to go too far down the line with pouches tonight because we don't know what the law is going to be. But if there is a ban, I'm feeling that that's where we'll go, but we'll bring that back to you. So the bottom line is that is the budget we're proposing for the public. I just want to make a couple comments and then ask Becky and then entertain yours. No budget yet. There are policy issues. Today, I understand they're passing the second extender so that the legislators and others can get paid. That tells me that it's probably not going to be done this weekend. I hope it's done by next Thursday. It would be nice to know what our foundation aid is so we can make an adjustment. But I can't promise you that. I would think it's going to be done in the next couple of weeks. But I don't really think it's fair to school districts that the state budget's late. It is, but it's not fair. Why can they not adhere to the statutory regulation, but we have to? I can't turn this in late. Yeah, right. So it's frustrating. I'm not going to go off on that today. It's frustrating. All I can tell you, board members and members of the public, I believe we did our best job to be responsible, to keep our district whole, to keep moving forward, and fiscally responsible. We're not taking gobs of money out of reserves. As I said, last year we replenished plus, right? We put it back plus. Not promising the plus this year. I'm promising a replenishment, to be very honest with y'all, which is okay, right? Which is okay. Becky, if you would take, this is a resolution in your packet, and Becky also has one other resolution that I'd like her to talk about in your packet that statutorily must go out.
Yes, and at the same time, when you will be voting on the superintendent's recommendation for the budget, you will also be accepting the property tax report card. This is done annually. It is submitted to the state education department statutorily, and it just lists the current budget spending amounts, compares it to the proposed budget. It'll have items on there from the tax cap. It'll show you then all of our reserves with a brief explanation and the available balance and anticipated use. It's standard, it's done every year, and we will show that to you on the 10th.
Thanks. Questions from the board members?
Yes, Mark, you said something about Head Start funding. He decreased. Where is that?
It's in the F codes, but in order to keep the program whole, we may have to use the general fund budget to pick up some of the benefit
So it
costs.
doesn't show up here.
Correct.
That's what I was looking for.
Correct.
I didn't see it when you
Head
said
Start
it.
is in the F code budget. However, because there's a reduction in the F code budget, we're not able to pay for technically all the benefits that are there. So we're putting them in, we added to this big number by saying we're going to have to pay for some of the benefits out of the general fund budget.
Okay, so where is it here?
Expiring grants.
Okay, I got you.
Does that make sense?
I missed the point
That's
of
okay.
expiring. You called it an expiring grant.
Yeah.
I got it.
No, but you're right. It's not an expiring grant.
Expired fund.
It's expiring a pot of money, or it's not even that. It's a reduction in the pot of money in a grant.
Yes.
I know.
missed it. I'm sorry.
I understand why I let that be confusing, because the grant isn't going away. It's not expiring. The amount that's in there is
I
being
got it.
reduced.
No, I missed it.
Yep.
Thank you.
No, and I was the one that told, let's throw it in there. So
No, it's fine.
okay. Anything else?
No?
Thank you so much.
Nice job.
Yeah. Well, these ladies, I mean, I just want to say something about Julie and Becky. You see this on one page? If they ever pulled up the spreadsheets behind it, Julie, all those calculations you have behind that, she has every line broken up with all these spreadsheets behind it to formulate that. The last item, before I have just a couple of concluding ones, it would be to review your, thank you, Ray, right there, to review your agenda for next week. We do have an audit committee at 4 o'clock. The audit committee agenda features three things. What we're going to do at the audit committee, number one, is we have 2 confirmatories over the last 4 months. We will have an internal audit report from the Bonadeo group that will be here. And then we're going to present to the audit committee the budget we just presented to you. We will have an internal audit report tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We are meeting with the internal audit people. We do, this I guess is the good news and the not so great news, but it's not bad. We do think we'll have 2 to 4 findings on the report. None of the findings will deal with money. So it won't, the findings won't say, we're missing $50, we're missing $3,000. The findings that we anticipate will be on paperwork. This signature, you missed a date here. So let me even be more specific. And let me just tell you how fine the audit went here. And I'll try and keep you calm, Maria. Listen to this. What they did is they took a look at all of our grants and purchase accounts payable. And I think they found about 3 or 4 things. Listen to one of them. In 1998, we had an I-9 form, which I believe is to say that you're a United States citizen. The form was signed by the employee saying she's a United States citizen. The form was signed by the then Human Resources Administrator. There were no dates on it. Okay, I'm not happy but that's what you're going to see on the report. They were missing the date, 1998. So that's and that was one person. That's illustrative of what you're going to find on the cap, okay? Am I thrilled about that? Absolutely not. Is it the end of the world? Absolutely not. Anytime we could be called to be better, we're about it. However, I want the public to know, you won't see, they were missing $52 last year. That's not what you're going to find on this report. You're going to find that there was a date missing, a form missing, someone didn't sign something. So again, you saw how big the budget was. You know we have 1,500 employees. I can't speak to 1998. I was a principal at Maple Avenue School, and Earl Bass was in the lunchroom when I was there, and I just should have gotten that date checked because I knew this would have come back to get me, Earl. But that's just illustrative of what that will be. So you will have a resolution, and by next Thursday, Becky, Julie, Richard, and myself will write how we're going to correct that. We'll make sure everything has a date on it, I guess is our answer to those. I don't know what to write. So if you will pull up the, here we go, here's the agenda. All right, there are no bids. What I will tell you, and I did send you, is that there will be 5 or 6 bids in May, okay? No bids this month. We're going to do 5 or 6 big bids in May. Your usual reports, I'll have Maria, you're ready with the, we'll do that. Let me just get down to, there are also no short-term contracts this month, board members. No short, we're winding the year down. So there's, I mean, all that work should be done. I think in May, we have one for a exceptional child, but no more short-term contracts. So if you're ready, Maria, let's do the personnel report, and then we'll finish the agenda.
Well, these are small. We may add to it for the next meeting, or we may just wait and inundate you all in May and June, but we'll see what we get next week.
May and June are May, June, and July are Maria's months. Like,
Yeah.
That's her tax season, I would say.
My tax season, yeah, my tax season. We had a resignation. I'm at the certificated report. We had a resignation that'll be effective May 1. And then we are appointing a teaching assistant at Maple Avenue, and we have a 60-day conversion for a teacher at Abbott. And if you'll move down through the per diem, Schedule B, and Schedules D, E, F, and G assignments, you'll see those coming next. If you have any questions about those, you have these for a week. I'm happy to try to answer them for you. But those are traditionally what we offer you here. And then the only thing that I will draw your attention to, because we've got the coaching positions out there for Unified and the sports support workers, and that's on pages 6 of 7.
The only thing that I would point out on pages 4 and 5, And again, I like to always say this. If you see the letter F in front of a number, it's paid for by a grant. But you'll start to see a lot of SCEPs, School Comprehensive Education Plan. We are required to do this, and the principals work with their teachers to have teacher involvement. These are done after school, so you'll see a lot of SCEPs coming up because they're going to start working on next year's school improvement plan. I don't think there's any, and Maria mentioned the coaches are, this is Unified season. You know Unified, again, just to give a plug, Unified is a special program. Unified are where we have teams of students, exceptional children, teamed with our other exceptional children to participate in sports. And we've kind of taken it to a new level. We do bocce and bowling and basketball and cheerleading. So I'm really happy about that. And the support workers help us keep score, security, timing, or whatever is needed there. So that's what's on there.
Yes, sir. Moving on to the classified report. Again, it's a relatively light report. We have a retirement of a special education classroom associate at the end of the school year. And then on page 3 of 3, we have some Trauma 101 training, and then we have the pre-K associates for the kindergarten jamboree that are going to be joining us there.
So just to punctuate, we try to train not just our teachers and administrators, but everybody is part of a trauma response in schools. This is the associates. And, you know, the pre-K jamboree, I think Mrs. Buckman has set it for early August. That's when we round up all our new kids, put them in a park and let them run free. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. We get them all together and we try to welcome them to school and their parents to school. So she's planning that now. Questions for Maria?
Thank you.
Thanks, Maria. Maria, can I ask one question? Because I know you've been working on this and people I ask. Could you give us a status report on the 2025-26 school calendar?
Yes. So we've pretty much finished our negotiations with NFT on the calendar. We're going to have a beginning professional development on the last Thursday of August, which I believe is the 28th. I just don't have the calendar in front of me right now. Our first day of school, you know that, I think you know, that Labor Day is just about as early as it could be this year. And Mr. Laurie, for the past several years, has liked to have what we call a soft opening of schools. So we are going to have that soft opening of schools this year, but it's going to be a little less soft than it's been in the past because our first day of school is going to be Wednesday after Labor Day this year. And that is because of the way the calendar falls and the way that the winter holidays around Christmas fall. If you look at your calendars, and again, I'm sorry I don't have it in front of you, but if you look at your calendars, the 1st and the 2nd of January end up at the end of the week. And rather than having to call in substitutes for the whole week that week, we're going to probably be out of school for the entire week. So because of that, we had to make up another day someplace, and we decided to make up that day being the Wednesday after Labor Day. And I know it's easier to see if it's in front of you. But then we're going to still have our 2 weeks at spring break, all of the holidays that we have to provide for our employees, and we will get the number of minutes in for the students that we're required to have. Everybody says, 180 days. They changed that a few years back. Right. And now it is so many minutes for elementary students and so many minutes for secondary students, and we will be able to meet all of those minutes. The next thing that we have to do to ensure that the calendar is all set is there's a couple days that we have to negotiate with our CSE, ASC, and NIAS units to make sure that the 12-month employees are covered during the school year time.
You would anticipate May for a vote or June?
Yeah, I would love to get it to you. If you want it walked on in April, we might be able to push it for your meeting in April, but if not, definitely in your May meeting.
So, of course, it's a collaborative contractual agreement that Maria is assigned to work with the NFT union, and then she works with the presidents of the other unions to make sure that their days are set too. So I know people are starting to ask, but we're well into that process. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you.
I'm going to move swiftly through this, and I'll spend more time next week because, you know, we'll have more of our colleagues with us. David Lowry is asked for his election again to be our Area 1 representative. If you remember, David came to one of our meetings. I'm pointing because he sat right there, and he's been very accessible to us. He was at Niagara Falls High School when we had our legislative breakfast, and he's the only name we received, Judy? Yeah. He's the only name we received, so we're asking for your support there. The Code of Conduct Committee meets as part of a statutory requirement. That is items 602, 603, and 604. You already approved the people on the committee. We will have a public hearing on May 8th, and Maria or part of the team will share with you any changes to the Code of Conduct prior to that hearing, or during that hearing. 605 is something that Becky works on. This is, we provide nursing services for non-resident parochial schools. So we pay for the nurse there. We're able to charge back those districts from where the non-residents come. So this just sets a rate for charging back students that don't live in Niagara Falls to their home district, so we get paid for the amount of nursing time we provide. And this comes up at this time because we want to make sure that we know exactly how many non-resident students go to our parochial or non-public schools. So we're able to charge back for nursing services. This just sets those rates. 606, Mr. Petrosi, is what we were talking about. There was a bit of a reduction to the benefit line of the Head Start application. That's why it appeared in the budget. And this is so that Richard can work on a revision to the Head Start continuation grant. There will be Head Start next year. There will be Head Start unless something drastic changes. There will be Head Start. 607, and I'm going to ask Earl to help us along with Becky, and I'm going to take a moment. Something that we hadn't been doing, but we have been more attentive to of late, has been taking care of the CEC building and this building. Why haven't we included that as part of our capital projects? Because we don't get building aid because there are no students here. So anything that we do, we have to pay dollar for dollar in this building. You can only get aid if you have students in the building. That 98%, that magical number we talk about. So something that has been, Earl has helped limp along, and is the boiler plant here at this building. And we do have money in this year's budget to change one of the boilers.
That's correct.
It's about a $186,000 bill. We do have budget money to do that. We have two boilers. The boiler that will run this building now will be our redundant boiler. This will be a brand new boiler. This will be a installation by a union shop, Greater Niagara Mechanical, out of the town of Niagara, who did cataract and the CEC, and we really like them. And Earl can tell you how we came about getting them. Let me tell you the reason why this is a resolution. It ties into the audit, and we want to be audit perfect. We put an amount of money in the equipment line in our budget every year. That gets voted on, that gets approved. Whenever you exceed that equipment line, you can't exceed the equipment line. It's something in the finance law. So we knew we had the opportunity to replace a boiler, but we didn't have the space to do it because of the equipment we bought. We called Drescher and Malecki, they're our external auditors, and say, can we do it this year or do we need to wait? They said, and I'll let Becky and Julie confirm this, you can do it if you let the public and board know by resolution. It won't be a finding. You're exceeding your equipment line and that's why we're putting this on there. If we're replacing something or repairing something, we don't necessarily put a resolution for everything we do. But in this case, we're exceeding our equipment line, and we want to be very transparent about that. Is that right, Becky and Julie? Thanks. Earl, did you want to talk about the boiler?
So the boiler started failing late last heating season. And we started looking at ways we might replace it as maybe a change order to the capital project at one point. And things just weren't working out that way, so we looked at it to do at least one boiler from the general fund. And that's the way we moved forward. What we did is we did pricing through OGS, the Office of General Services, with Niagara equipment, and we're moving forward with it. The work may begin as early as mid-April.
So that's why that's on there. It's a repair, it's not in the capital projects, but we're exceeding our equipment line. Equipment line? We're exceeding our equipment line, not by the full amount, but by some. And I don't want to take a chance, and I don't want it to be audited and say that you exceeds your equipment line, there's a finding. I want to put it with a resolution and ask for your support of that vote. Moving ahead, this is something that we do yearly because the sports season has already begun. I hope they were out there today. We have to spray for ticks. We have to give a notice. We'll do it at a time when no one will be out there for 48 hours, but I think the board members that have been around know that we border up against some grassy land, and we need to spray for ticks for our maintenance workers, our players, coaches, fans, and everything. Earl?
That's correct. You usually see this resolution a month later than this. The tick spray usually happens in May. We're choosing to do it a little bit earlier because spring break is falling so late, and it gives us a great opportunity to have the full, wait time after a pesticide application with no children or staff being near the field area. I have also, to Mr. Laurie's point about the swampy or overgrown areas, I've also contacted National Grid, and they have contacted their forestry department about trimming the National Grid-owned property that borders our athletic complex to the east.
We have a very famous, well-known maintenance worker by the name of Ryan Mang, who once had a tick on him, and we do not want that ever to happen again. He's never let me live it down. If you see him, I hope that you'll support this, what I would call Ryan Mang resolution, so that he never gets, remember Maria? He comes into every union meeting now and blames me for having ticks on his arm, and I said, I'll ask the board to support the resolution. He is my man.
Quick question on that, Earl, does the spraying work?
Yes, it does.
We haven't had any
It's actually quite effective.
That's just curious.
Yes.
Becky referred to 610. That's my budget recommendation, and 611, the tax report card. 612, I'm anticipating 2 to 4 cap resolves to say we'll never forget to put dates on things. We'll make sure everybody signs everything. I'm being a little bit sarcastic, but we know that the internal audit will have some findings. We'll speak to them tomorrow, and I'll tell you by mail what those findings exactly are. I want to reiterate on 612, it will not be a finding about money. It will be a finding about paperwork, dates, names, something like that. So that's the good news, but we do have to have that approved because Becky and Julie have to submit it by April 30th to the state. 613 is the $28,000 milling and paving for Scrufari. 614 all the way to 619 are payments based on what we showed you, and that's why we spent so much time on capital projects today. We have no policies, I don't believe, Ray? No, we don't. So that's the outlook for next week. Members of the board, viewing public, I do not anticipate any additional resolutions, short-term contracts. Maria may have an asterisk situation that comes up with some personnel or may not. She may wait because we're getting into a long break. And our meetings are May 8th and 15th. She may just wait if she can. She'll let us, we'll let you know. That's all we have. I have just a couple of closing updates unless you have questions. Thanks. Here are my closing updates for this evening. This Saturday, I'm really excited. Niagara Falls High School, the Black Excellence Group, is having their meat raffle. They're planning for 350 people, and I know people like meat raffles. There's still tickets. I have tickets. Help support the Niagara Falls High School Parent Group and the Black Excellence Committee. Speaking of which, the Historically Black College trip kicks off on the 8th. Mr. Bass chaperoning again, and you're going to the state of Maryland, and I think it will be is it Maryland? Yeah, the DMV area, so it's always a good place for the kids to go. Safe travels, have fun, lots of learning. We're glad we're able to do that. That same evening at Bleneva Bond, our MLK celebration will happen. Jaleesa Hernandez, Karen Howard, who, by the way, is running the meat raffle on Saturday for us, and Eric Fields Sr. will be honored. It should be a nice 90-minute or fewer celebration. April 9th, next Wednesday, is Niagara Falls High School P-TECH and Pathways Night. This is the night when 8th graders can come to select a P-TECH pathway, computer applications or industrial manufacturing. And I know that Ms. Villardo and team are looking to also talk a little bit more about their pathways. It will be at Niagara Falls High School this year, which is a change. We used to have one at LaSalle and one at Gaskill, but Rick has worked with the team to bring it all to Niagara Falls High School so the 8th graders can get to start to orientate themselves to that. Our foreign language group is currently in London. We have students in London. Sometimes I think, wow, we never had a chance to go to London when I was in high school. We have kids in London right now with chaperones. I understand they're having a very good time. Speaking of P-TECH, I want to bring you back to our relationship with North Tonawanda. Today, the mostly 9th graders from North Tonawanda and Niagara Falls High School, NT has a P-TECH program, so we joined them today at the culinary. And they learned about, they had representatives from Ingram Micro who presented today. And it was really great to see the two schools come together, have lunch, hear a great presentation. I believe I will conclude with this, that next week on Tuesday the 7th, I think we're starting on Tuesday. Tuesday the 7th is the state grades 3 through 8 English language arts test. It is a 2-day test, Rick? 2 or 3 day test. It's one benchmark of students' progress. It's not to me, it's not the strongest benchmark for lots of reasons. We're not able to use it for much diagnostic because we don't get it back for a long time. There's ways to get a lot better growth measures than that, but I wish everyone the best taking the ELA next week in grades 3 through 8. When we come back from the break, we'll do the math test, the state math test, and then after the state math test will be the state science test. So next week is a very important week as we lead into the holiday recess for our ELA students. I wish them well, but my expectation is they do well on all their assessments every day, and this is just another one. It's nothing that we'd like to put any more pressure on. Students do their very best. Members of the board, I thank you very much for your attention and your support, and we look forward to one more good week before a 2-week recess. So thank you. Yes, Mr. Bass.
Now with like technology and so many resources available, why does it take the state 3-4 months to get those results back?
That's a really good question, Mr. Bass. Any
I-
ideas,
I
Rick?
know before it was a lot of manual things.
Yeah, so it's a really good question, and because we have been doing this for a long time, computer-based testing. Now I think this is the first year that every district has to do computer-based testing. Rick, I don't have a good answer for the board member, do you?
I don't think it has to do with the formula.
Use your microphone, Rick. Because it's a good question, Earl, or Mr. Bass, it's a good question.
It has to do with a couple of different things, but one of them is the time it takes to establish the cut scores and put students into one of those 4 performance areas. So they check and recheck that, and they look at trends across the state. So because it's a high stakes assessment, they take quite a while before they actually release the results and make them final and binding. So it is really, it's very frustrating, because once we share those results with students and parents, it's sometimes 6 months removed from the time that the assessment was administered. We do get some of the objective results back, and what I mean by that is by usually the end of June or early July, we will learn in general what our students performed well on and what they didn't, as far as the skills and concepts that are assessed. But as far as the actual scores for our students across the grades, percentages in each level, we don't receive that until sometime in the fall, usually the later fall.
Take a test in 8th grade and you get your results as a freshman in high school.
Yeah, when you look at it that way, yeah. So how is it going to even help the teacher correct anything that they're doing if they don't get it till 6? The kids are gone. It's
Not even in the same building.
Not even in the same building. It's why, or a 6th grader going to Gaskill, or it's why we use so many other measures to gauge student progress, right? That's why we're looking at student progress through the NWA, Ames Web. Rick, you know them all better than I do.
Right.
And iReady we're using now. So Wednesday we had a great presentation by Abbott, and they showed us where the kids are. This is interesting because this Wednesday at Abbott came in for their weekly meeting, and they showed us where the kids were in September and then where they were in January. And they had that in real time data by the student. So we looked at every student's name and saw Earl Bass made this many or didn't make this many, and what are we doing with Earl Bass? We have that in-house, and that's what we use to measure growth. That's what's more important for us to measure growth. Am I correct, Rick?
It is, and the assessments themselves are really not supposed to be used the way that they're often interpreted. They're supposed to tell the district which kids need extra assistance in order to meet the standards of proficiency by the time that they graduate.
Right.
So it's supposed to be a snapshot along a longer continuum, not a test that you take in 4th grade that says whether or not you're a successful 4th grader.
Right.
It's really meant to predict how much assistance you're going to need, if any, to reach what we expect a 12th grader to be able to do and know before they exit. That's really what those assessments are supposed to do.
No, they're not. It's a real, no, you're 100% right. It's not advertised. People don't understand it that way. It's to show in the next 7 years where we've got to really intervene, and that's what we try to do. But that's not how they're advertised or used. But that's really the intended purpose of it. And again, I don't want to call out the state, but I wish they would do a better job of explaining that they're not used to tell whether Earl can do this or that. It's really to talk about grouping and intervention that we have to do. Am I correct, Rick? And you live it every day. I don't live it as much as you do it. So your question is really a good one. Why does it take 6 months to get that data, and how congruent is that to the teaching practices? So I bring it up because I want to acknowledge and encourage our students, but I don't want to overpressure anyone. I want them to do their best on that. I want them to do their best on the Ames Web, the iReady, the NWA, because that's how I know exactly how Earl Bass is doing. And that's what's most important to us. That's what's much, much more important. Thank you. Other questions? Hey, small but powerful group. Again, get well, Mr. Pareto, and we look forward to seeing everybody again. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a great night.
Good night, everybody, and
Night.
thank you.
Robin Zander, Rick Nielsen,